to get things started, O'Neill. For those that have never met you, if you could share just a little bit of your background, your timeline in real estate, what's got you to this point so far?
Oh, thank you so much, Lexi. My background, my name O'Neill, Cattnell, Jacksonville. I've been in real estate since 2002. I had to take a personal break for a couple of years, and then I came back 3 years ago. My background is in engineering, mechanical engineer. I used to design interiors for private jets and corporate aircraft long time ago, and I think that's kind of lends to my linear thinking, but I am not the typical type of engineer. I'm not an anal person. Real estate brought out the people person in me, and I'm very passionate about what I do because I follow certain principles, and hopefully this will help everybody. I really, 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 work towards bringing value because I understood a long time ago that your paycheck is a direct result to the value that you bring to the marketplace. So I worked on my people skills. And with that being said, being a part of a lead-based brokerage gave me an advantage that I never had previously, even though I had a successful real estate company and so forth. But this is something different, and it it took me a little learning curve to really develop the skill set here. But what I've been doing, what my process is I set goals first and foremost. And what I do is I use what we call the credibility scale to make sure I'm on track with my goals. So the credibility scale is out of a scale of 1 to 10, how many leads am I talking to? How many leads I am, converting? How many potential leads I can get this week? And I have what we call the credibility scale, and I mark it 1 out of 10. So I'm always trying to go one indicator up. So if I said, my conversion is too low. Let's say it's a 5 out of 10. I just want to increase it by one increment by six. That's kind of how I drive myself, and I look at what I'm doing out there. The second thing that I focus on is speed to lead and speed to conversion. When I get a client, I make sure I make room to meet with them as soon as possible, even the same day, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person. I meet with them immediately because I understand the power of building that relationship. But also, I have clients that, have been through the sales process before, but they've never been educated about the sales process the way I educate them. So that's why I meet with them, go over the whole buying process, explain the BBA, what to expect from your lender, and some of the things your lender didn't tell you up front, you need to know right now so you can make an educated decision. So when they come out of a buyer consultation with me in 45 minutes, they feel confident that they have the right agent, and they also we give them homework. So they have tasks to do. They're not just trying to direct me, help me find a house. They have to do some things to help us too. And that gets them personally engaged in the process. So that's why, on average, when we come out of a buyer consultation meeting, we're under contract in 2 weeks, within 2 weeks. That's the thread that's the thread that I've woven into the whole system that we're doing. Speed to lead, meet in with them, consult with them, convert them, give them tasks to do, drive through neighborhoods, whatever that may be, get with your loan officer, find out what their real motivation and goals are, and then start the process of purchasing. Now, is it smooth? No. We're dealing with people. We're in the people business. But on average, that's why we are converting so highly. And that's what I'm teaching the team here that we have. I have 3 agents and I just took on another two. And it's the same system. And the reason why some of these agents are coming on the team is because they see what we're doing and they want to be a part of it because they see how effective we are. And that's pretty much the nucleus of activity that we do here.
That's amazing. I guess for context, though, you're used to having a team because you used to have your own brokerage, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic now because, the learning curve, sometimes agents come with different habits. They come with old habits, traditional habits, and with a lead-based brokerage, it's a different skill set. Like, I'm so thankful when I first came on, I didn't go straight to VU leads. I had to do what we call the trash leads, the clever and all this stuff. It really quickened my pace. I'm competing with other agents, but not only the speed guys, you can be the first one to someone, but if you're not competent and confident, they smell that out like a plague. and then you also have to adjust your personality quickly, learn people's personality traits. I always use the form technique on people. If you guys don't know, you guys know what it is. I call it the form technique: family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. I use that. I listen more than I talk. Sometimes it sounds like I talk a lot, but I'm listening more than I talk because I'm asking poignant questions to get the little things that matter, because it's the little details that is important in the sale of, when someone is, trusting you with their largest transaction. So, hopefully that will help some of you guys out there.
Question for you to not just increase your lead volume, like your transaction volume, your conversions are still continuing to go up, right? And that's sometimes we see the opposite happen. And I think we've all been there at one point where our lead flow starts increasing, our volume starts going up, but then we're not necessarily still keeping that same status quo, that same level of performance when we start getting super lead heavy. What do you think is the reason why you're able to not just increase your volume, but also continuing to make those tiny incremental improvements on increasing your conversion rate while you're increasing your lead volume?
That's an excellent question. um, my my personal value core set is I know my goals. Let me bring it to the base of how I think, and you'll hear a little bit of the engineer in this too. When I first came to Boardwalk, um, Michael said he's putting into place a business where any agent can come here and bare minimum make 106 figures. And I've heard other agents complain about the referral fee, and I'm like, in my mind, this doesn't make any sense because you just gave me a roadmap how I can design my income. So I looked at what the average sales. Lexi talked on a call once and said the average sales is around 300,000. Average commission is X amount. I want to make 20,000 a month. All I need to do is close 5 deals. So I know what my closing ratio. So out of every 10 leads that I get, I convert 3. So that's how I predict how much closings I have every month. Now that I have a team, the first thing that I do when I sit down with them is I need to know how much income you expect to make. And whether it's 60,000, then we break that down into how many per conversion per lead that you have. Now, when we do that, we see that we're leaving room for growth on the table because the system is not as arduous and heavy lifting as people thought. If you break it down into its components and understand that, hey, I need to have X amount of leads, I need to have X amount of meetings per week, resulting in X amount of closings, then all of a sudden I'm hearing, and even with myself, I'm talking to the guys, they're like, well, we need to have more consultations. I said, okay, more consultations yield X amount of income. And that's how we've been steadily, it's not necessarily trying to close and make as much money as possible. We're looking at the matrix now and see there's room in there for our activity hours. Most of us aren't really, we're doing this volume of business and not necessarily doing it. If you look at the effective work that we're doing, because 80% of the results come from 20% of the activity, we're getting that kind of yield with less than 30 hours worth of work. So what if we put 40 hours into it? And that's what we're working on right now with everyone on the team, maximizing that 40 hour, utilizing a 40-hour work week, but using that, knowing that we know what the conversion is, we know what our real numbers are, and we're seeing room where we should scale this. And that's why I'm setting big, big goals for next year. And I'll put it out there for everyone. We're looking to do 500 transactions next year. And I think we can do it. I don't see a reason why we can't do it.
That is definitely gonna be a call for celebration when you hit that goal. 500 transactions, that's gonna
It
be amazing to
it's me and the team. It's me and the
yeah.
team. It's me and the team. So
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
what we're setting. But based on how I break the numbers down, how many you need to make for your salary, plus what's on the table when you put this activity in. And some of our guys are seeing that they met their minimum threshold, but they keep going. So we're going to scale higher.
So, another question for you, because I know currently you're primarily on the mortgage partner platforms, right? Like, we don't have Zillow in Jacksonville. So, for context, Jacksonville they have new construction there, but they have the same partnerships that everyone that's on this call has access to. One of the things which is actually quite shocking that I see looking at the data when in comparison to like a Zillow lead is Zillow leads are very much go, 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 right? You get a lead, you're supposed to meet them either same day, next day. With mortgage partner leads, it's completely different. Like you have to get that consultation. You have to figure out their why. You have to set them up on a search. And for us as an organization, our met rate on a mortgage partner lead is lower than any other source, but we do see that when we meet that mortgage partner lead, that we convert them 50% of the time from the time we meet them. So when I look at your stats, your met rate on mortgage partner leads is closer to 38, almost 40%, which is like double what the team is. What are some of the strategies or the approaches that you have to be able to get eye to eye with a mortgage partner lead, where in comparison with Zillow that's coming to us with that appointment, like what talk about your process, how many times you reach out? Because we see sometimes agents will call a mortgage partner lead 2 times and then they're like, oh, they're not returning my call. They're not interested.
Our broker Z taught me this part. It's almost close to harassing them because people are having they're living lives. We are trying to prejudge them based on our current circumstance and not theirs. So I don't take it personally not hearing from some of these leads. My job is one, I called the loan officer, I introduce myself, I encourage them to have, if they're in communication with a client, encourage them to contact me as soon as possible. So I'm setting expectations with the lender too, where, I am going to do the same thing, reciprocate the same behavior. And I call them sometimes, I do the 333, but sometimes I even call them 3 times a day, because one, I'm not sure if they're at work, and some of them are active military. So some are on a ship. You don't know what their circumstance is. So I'm almost borderline harassing. But interestingly, for example, I had one client and I was calling and calling, no answer. The loan officer, no answer. And 3 months later, they emailed me and said, hey, they were on special duty and on a ship, and they saw that we've been trying to communicate with them, and they apologized, and we transacted that person. So, I never ever I don't take it personally. And I am going to, until you tell me to stop, cease and desist. And I've gotten those too. And even when I get them, I still try, introducing, a spin on it to just get a flat out no. So I'm very, very persistent and I'm very stubborn.
So you don't give up. It's either you keep going until they block you or tell you to stop.
Yeah.
And how long would you say you continue reaching out to them? Like, at what point do you think, okay, they're really not serious and you kind of scale back on the outreach?
So I start, the three in a row until I get a response. And then after like 3 weeks or so, I'll put them in nurture.
Okay.
And, and even with that, then I do a once a month um, reach out and sometimes, it's just people living in their circumstance. And the other matrix I watch is how many I lose, because that tells me a whole lot to other agents that they came into it not, being genuine anyways. But I need to watch that number because then I have to make adjustments accordingly, ramp it up even more or something, just get into the people's faces. Because I've had where my USAA client said, hey, I have tons of friends who are realtors. What makes you, different? I said, well, I'm highly skilled and trained for VA. And, I am one of the few agents that you will work with that help you get cash at closing because of the program we're in. But also, we've closed 70 deals for the year so far. Have any of your friends done that? And just wait to hear. He says, okay, I'll meet with you next Tuesday.
So flex the credibility. And
Leverage it. Yeah.
last question I have until we open it up to see if anyone else has any questions. Could you share a little bit when you talk about you have your consultation? So you're meeting people not at the home, right? Where most of the time we see many of the first times we are meeting a client, many of us, is that we're meeting them at the first home that we're showing them. But that's not your case, correct?
No, we meet outside. We meet them at a neutral place because psychologically we will always want the advantage. So when we meet them in a neutral place, we set the tone, we set, the environment for that because, we're dealing with people and you have to understand that you always have to position yourself as the authority and the professional that they need. So by taking control right away and setting that, it gives us a psychological advantage moving forward.
Love it. Well, that is all the questions I have. So I want to open it up to the floor. to the rest of the team. If you guys have any questions you would like to get in O'Neill's brain, here's the opportunity to do it.
I just want to start by saying I'm very proud of you and you're amazing and you just keep doing you, man.
Thanks, my brother.
This is Kim. I just wanted to ask you, O'Neill, this is a personal question. Are you Jamaican?
Yes.
I can hear the patois. I knew it. I knew you were Jamaican. I'm Jamaican too. I was just wondering. But
Right.
I do want to be Trelawney, but I do want to be like you when I grow up. So I'm on my way, O'Neill.
Call me. Call me. When you have a chance, call me.
I sure
They
will.
know I have an affinity for my people, so anything I can
Yeah,
do to help will definitely help you.
we're already family. So, okay, that's
That's
good to
right.
know.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you again for sharing, O'Neill. Love to hear anytime you're willing to share with the team. We all can take so much from it. And thank you for your willingness to share. I know so many times too, not to point any fingers, but there are agents sometimes when you try to get them to open up, they're like, I'm not spilling my beans or sharing my secrets. So thank you for your willingness to share and be there for the team. We really do value and appreciate that.
Just real
Thank you
quick,
so
I just
much.
curious, O'Neill,
Oh, go ahead.
how many do you have on your team?
Right now I have 4. I'm interviewing another one this week.
Okay.
But I'm very careful because it has to be the right mindset. It has to be the right people. I'm not just
Yeah.
taking on numbers for numbers. And, we all have to have a servant mindset, certain core values that we
Mhm.
aligned with, and I warned them. I said, you're going to get thrown into the fire because the quickest way you're going to learn is to actually transact and go into the process with me.
And to fail.
Yeah, that's right, and I'm just proud of the girls and right now that are with me. They're stressed like me. They're
Yeah,
not getting sleep but they're loving it because the results, they're seeing tangible results.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say thanks to Boardwalk. I this is an opportunity that helped me tremendously. And, I'm just thankful. If I get a little emotional, it's just because I really value you guys.
Thank you, O'Neill. We love having you on the team. And like you said to Ed, like, brother, like, our goal isn't to get this thing crazy big. Like, everyone here is family. And seeing, you said, go from clever, the Prime Street leads and see where you're at now, it is amazing to watch your journey.
Thank you.
So March for 500 next year. You get 500 transactions, you could all take us on a small trip or something. You could pick up the tab.
And I'll cook for you guys. How about that? I'll do some Jamaican cooking for you.
Okay.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Thank you again, O'Neill. We love you. And again, just keep putting in the work. And the biggest thing I can say that I've seen with O'Neill too is like he said, it's what value you can bring to your clients, but also as you can all see the value he brings to all of us and his team. Like he is someone that truly does leave with a servient heart. It's not just about the dollars, it's about the lasting impact that he can leave on all of us.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, guys.